Welcome to the Predicted Playbook. I'm your host, John Ryan. This is the PGA Tour, a very special edition of the PGA Tour show because it's the PGA Championship and it's at a course that if you have not played it, I've had the privilege of playing it twice, back-to-back days, and granted it was about 20 years ago, but my plan is to play it quite often. It's on the someday when I retire. Charleston is on that bucket list to go retire, and of course, Kiawah is not far away from Charleston. So I want to welcome David Bearman, Deputy Editor of Sports Content at ESPN, to the show, and winner of 9 of 11 events that he has provided prognostications for. And it's just been great having him on. Obviously, when we get to play golf, I'm going to be paying for his greens fees. But welcome to the show, David.
Thanks. Exciting week. I'm actually took the week off from work this week, but I'm not going to skip my duties of doing golf picks for you guys. And, of course, sprinkle some cash on it. It's been fun. Parents are coming up to visit for the first time since COVID. Going to golf with my dad a couple of times in the area and watch some PGA Championship.
That's an awesome week and an awesome weekend, no doubt about it. It's one of the few weekends I don't play golf because I'm in front of the TV and trying to take it all in, and especially this event. Just a little history I have on this. It became famous in 1991 with the War at the Shore, which was the Ryder Cup. And most importantly, it was Bernhard Langer on 17. At the time, I believe the hole played 185 yards. It has water to the right. And on Kiawah Island, the average wind speed is 30 miles an hour every single day. He hit 3-wood, short, and in the water. So I do believe in this event you will see some of these big power hitters having some frustrating times with the wind. Other events that have occurred here, the last time the PGA was hosted here was 2012, and of course Rory McIlroy ran away with it with a 13 under par victory in an event that I don't think too many were under par. If I remember correctly, David, it was like 5 or 6. And Rory was, light years ahead. He was playing a different course compared to everybody else.
Yeah, Rory won that one by 8. There were only a couple of guys under par, and since then they've even made the course longer. So expect the course to play even longer. You got 7 par 4s that are measuring at 450 plus. You got a couple that are 500 plus. It's going to be a very, very long track, especially when the wind kicks up. It's going to be even harder. On the bright side, the fairways are going to be bone dry and get a lot of roll on them. So you just got to hit it out there. But more importantly, you got to hit it straight. This is a course that's basically one big sand dune with a strip of fairways, 18 strips of fairways in between. And if you spray it left or right, it's not your normal rough. It's not your trees. It's not your lakes. It's a whole bunch of stuff, fescue, sand, ungroomed sand. It's not the bunker type sand. I remember playing Pinehurst with my dad a couple of years ago. It was the same thing. If you missed the fairway, you were in stuff where you could ground your club, but you didn't know what the heck you were hitting out of. So it's really, really key to get it out there. But more importantly, you got to hit the fairways, and that's why on a course like this, I like guys who are above average in driving distance, but really high on accuracy. Because if you miss the fairway here, you're in a host of trouble. Don't expect a lot of red scores. Especially if that wind kicks up. It's not supposed to be too bad, but you never know with the ocean.
That's for sure. And if I believe that my notes are correct, the first 6 holes will play into the wind. 7 through 13, basically downwind, maybe helping guys that like to move the ball right to left, and then the final holes into the wind. And you know how famous 17 is at Sawgrass. I think on Saturday and Sunday, when the pressure is on and there's guys tied for the lead or 1 or 2 shots back, that 17th hole is going to be a monster.
Yeah, the course direction is sort of like a figure 8. So couple holes in, couple holes out, couple holes in, couple holes out. Pete Dye, same guy who created Sawgrass. So you have a lot of creative holes with some smallish greens that are well protected by those sand dunes. A lot of greens you can bounce up on, but not as hard to putt these. It's not as undulating as, say, Augusta or other courses like the Players, etc. But premium on iron play, premium on hitting those greens, landing those greens, and be able to put yourself in position to either get the birdie or save par.
Yes, and I think everybody would, with any common sense, would think Bryson would this would be his type of course, because this is playing at close to 7,800 yards, which is I believe that's the record. That's the longest PGA major in terms of length, and I think it's the all-time longest in any major. Nevertheless, when you approach 7,800 yards, I don't know about you, David, but when I play the tips at a golf course and it's 7,200, 7,300, it's work. I mean, and that's without wind. So, we mentioned 17 again. That's going to play 221 yards from the back tees into possibly at least a 20-mile-an-hour wind. So I don't think, Bryson, I think, hits it too high. So I wouldn't think he would be on your list. But let's go through your list now and see what's going on.
He's not, and to be honest, John, I know I wanted to hit on this before we get to the picks, is I'm not really in love with any of the favorites here for many of the reasons you mentioned. A lot of these guys do pound it out there, but they've struggled with some accuracy. And yes, any one of the guys, whether it's Rory or Bryson, Koepka, Rahm, JT, any of them can go ahead and win this. They're the best golfers in the world. They bring their A game, they can win it. But they haven't brought their A game. You could find an issue with every single one of them over the last month, whether it's Rory's only got one win in the last 18 months. Rahm has never finished the deal at a major and tends to struggle early and then rallies for a top 10 and hasn't really put himself in contention. Justin Thomas won the Players' Championship but hasn't done anything else. Bryson has struggled the last few weeks on tracks that you and I thought were perfect for him.
Yeah.
They were long and you can get away with missing. This course, as we mentioned off the top, long, but if you miss the fairway, you're screwed, and Bryson misses a lot of fairways. Jordan Spieth probably has played as good as any of the favorites, but Jordan Spieth, the bottom of the barrel when it comes to off-the-tee metrics and accuracy. Jordan's the type of guy who, when he hits it straight, he wins. You got to give him credit. He's still getting top 10s, even though he's about 143rd on tour in accuracy and hitting fairways. But he's got to hit the fairways. And Jordan's the type of guy where he'll birdie 3 straight holes, and then he'll get it all back on a crooked 7 or an 8 because he misses the fairway and spends 20 minutes looking for his ball. So if you look at all of the short numbers from 9-1 to about 18 to 20-1, there's one or two things with every single one of them that is pushing me off of it. I don't want a guy at 10-1 like Dustin Johnson, who you haven't seen or heard from in the last 2 months. 16-1, you're starting to get there, but the guys that I like this week are in the 20 to 50 range. There's a whole bunch of really, really good golfers, and I'll start with Xander Schauffele. I know we've been here before. The guy's in contention at every single major, but to me, unlike a Finau or a Fowler, I actually think Xander is going to cash one of these in, and I think this is a really, really good course for him. I said you got to hit fairways and greens, and if you miss, you got to be able to scramble. He's second overall in shots gained, 14th tee to green, 8th in putting, 44th off the tee, 19th in hitting greens and reg, 17th in scrambling. He has all the metrics to contend, which is why he does contend at every single major. But I think after what he learned at the Masters, he had really one bad hole, his first ever triple bogey at a major, which cost him a chance to beat Hideki. I think he plays it a little bit more carefully this week, doesn't get those crooked numbers. T11 and T14, the last two events after his third place finish, the guy's got 7 top 6s in 15 career majors. So to me, when looking at Xander Schauffele, does he have that issue with finishing? Yeah, he hasn't won an event in a couple of years. He's never won a major. He's in contention every single major. So I like him at the 22-1 price as opposed to, betting a 10 or an 11-1 because I think this guy has some staying power. And as you know, the PGA Championship is the major that's known for first-time winners, 4 of the last 6. If you take out Brooks, all the rest are first-time winners. I think you can play him at a top 10 or a top 20 and get really good value because, quite frankly, John, I'd be stunned if Xander Schauffele wasn't a top somewhere near the leaderboard on Sunday. Yeah, he may not close the deal again, but I think if you're getting 22-1 and you're getting 2-1 on a top 10, that it's worth playing him in that type of environment.
That's I like that pick quite a bit, and I'm guessing with the way Daniel Berger played, especially over the weekend in this past event, I'm guessing that you probably like him a little bit too.
I do, and he's a guy who won at Pebble earlier this year, and I know you're going to say Pebble was Pacific Ocean and Kiawah is the Atlantic Ocean. same type of thing. You're up on the cliffs, you're up on the coast, dealing with the wind environments. And yes, Pebble during a regular non-major event plays significantly easier than what you're going to see at Kiawah. But he has dealt with the elements. He's in the top 25 in all metrics. 10th overall, 18th on approach. I can go on and on and on. He's literally up there in every single metric. Last year, he came onto the scene with 5 straight top 10s and 7 of 10. Followed up for an encore this year, got 5 more top 10s in 14 events. T3 last week at the Byron Nelson against a tough field. And like I said, he won at Pebble. Here's a guy that likes to contend. He's taking breaks when he needs to take breaks on the schedule. I think he's primed to be one of those. You look back 4 or 5 years from now, you're like, yeah, I remember when Justin Thomas won the PGA. I remember when, this guy won this event. Daniel Berger's a guy that can actually see in my head as being a major winner, just like Hideki did at the Masters. The metrics all fit the game. He's not a guy who has contended and fallen back. This is a guy that when he contends, he wins. And I like Berger this week. In top 10, you're getting over 3 to 1 for a guy who he's a top 10 machine. Like I said, 5 out of his 14 events, 7 of the 10 last year. He's a guy that fits this course. Not the longest hitter, but he's very, very accurate. Like I said, 10th overall in shots gained, very good on approach, very good on putting, 24th off tee and 25th tee to green. If you're looking for a guy that can deal with the elements of being on the coast and not make mistakes, because that's what this event is going to be about. That's what majors are about. That's why Xander didn't win the last one. You can't make mistakes. And some of the bigger hitters like Jordan, Bryson, Rahm, they make mistakes when they're bombers. Berger's not as long, but he's a lot more accurate, which is why I like his game this week.
And I like that too, David, because a ball striker that like Leishman, he can hit the ball in a penetrating flight, and that's kind of the style of his game. So I don't know if he would qualify for a top 10 for you or not. But I'm also a little curious what you think of his game coming into this event, and whether that is an asset with if we get those 30-mile-an-hour winds. I would think he would be a guy that probably would be contending on Sunday.
Yeah, I don't have him winning, but I do have Leishman as a top 10 at 5.5 to 1 and a top 20 at 2.5 to 1 for the reasons you just mentioned. Very, very strong wind player. What gives me pause with Leishman is he's not the longest hitter on tour. So he's given up 20 to 30 yards, just like Webb Simpson does. Webb Simpson's another guy that I like this week to contend, not necessarily win. I have Simpson and Leishman sort of in the same category as guys I expect to be on the leaderboard, but guys that may not be able to win because they're not as long as the others. When you're giving up 20 to 40 yards, harder to get into the greens, but they don't make mistakes. And if the wind picks up, I like Leishman because the rest of the field is going to sort of come back while Leishman just stays steady Eddie and gets those pars while people start dropping bogeys and doubles because of the wind. I expect him to be in contention. He's not the greatest longest hitter, and the metrics really don't line up for this course, unlike what I mentioned with Daniel Berger, Xander Schauffele, and of course Corey Connors, who I love. Leish's metrics don't match them, but he's a great wind player and someone that I think could get a sneaky top 10 or top 20, and that I'd probably play in DFS as well.
That's really good, and I'm looking at the holes, and you're talking about accuracy, and I think for people watching the event, be sure to keep an eye on hole number 12. 12 is going to play 466, and then possibly even more. And if you miss right or left, you're dead. And the rough is overseeded with rye, and the last time they played this event in 2012, we have to remember that it was not in May. It was August. And the rough here, from what I've read and researched, is just going to be a place where dead golf balls go. So I think 12 is going to be one of those pivotal holes. You have water all down the right-hand side, and it's a very narrow shoot. So if you miss in the rough, that ball is going to go anywhere at once, and even the best in the world are going to have trouble getting that ball even close to the green. So if I had to pick a hole that would really measure and test the best in the world, I kind of would pick 12 for what it's worth.
I hope they're giving the volunteers out there, who are the ones who have to locate the balls, hope they're giving them some nice dinners, because it's going to be a rough week for them. I do agree, and that's why I'm going to continue stressing accuracy and length off the tee. which is why I think guys like Bryson and Spieth are hard to play this week because they keep missing. Now, I do like Spieth to get into a top 5, top 10 because, as you've noticed with Jordan, no matter what the situation is, the last couple of weeks he's been in the top 10, 4 straight and 7 of 9, but he has had trouble on the weekends staying up near the top, and this last week was a perfect example. He was right there on Thursday, Friday, and then faded a little bit back. Didn't play bad, but when you're 143rd in shots gained off the tee and 185th in driving accuracy, those aren't metrics that are good for this course to win, especially when you're getting like a 12 and a 13-1 price, 16 in some books. But I do think at 3-1, Jordan's the type of guy who, since he's 16th on approach, 14th around the green, and one of the best one putters in the game, he can save some holes. That's what Jordan does best.
Yep.
I do worry that if he misses some fairways, he'll throw up a 7 or an 8, and then there goes the couple of birdies that he had. But yeah, you got to get it out there, and you got to get it out there straight. You can't really miss like you can at Augusta.
And I say this as in a funny, tongue-in-cheek manner, but it wouldn't be a show with you, David, if we didn't talk about Corey Connors.
Hey, you got to. He's my guy, and
yep.
And I'm not going to just fall off the wagon because he had T43 last week and T21 the week before, because I'm looking at the entire body of work. He had 9 of the previous 11 stroke play events leading into the Wells Fargo were top 20s. We talk about metrics with Daniel Berger being top 25 everywhere. Check him out for Corey Connors. Even after the T43, the guy is 9th tee to green, 12th off tee, 6th on approach, 14th overall, 9th in greens and reg, 11th in accuracy, 12th in scoring. Hello. But the difference between him and a Berger or a Schauffele is Connors is now back to 60-1. For a couple of weeks, he was up that leaderboard on the odds board because he had so many top 10s in a row. People started taking notice. Now you go to a PGA Championship, stronger field. Connors off a T43 last week, pushed back to 60-1. You're getting a guy at 60-1 who has just as good metrics as anybody on the top of the betting board. 5.5-1 to finish in the top 10. Like you said, it wouldn't be a week if I didn't mention my guy, Corey Connors. I'm not hopping off that bandwagon. I'm getting right back on it. 5-1 for a top 10, 60-1. Here's a guy who is above average in distance, above average in accuracy, above average on approach, above average tee to green. If Connors can get average out of his putter, he's a guy who I think can sneak a win out this week. And at 60-1, I'm willing to take that.
Yeah, absolutely. And he's the same odds as Leishman, too.
Right.
Betting those two, I think, is outstanding. So Ricky Fowler is in this event, David. And I talk about him a lot, and he almost made the cut last week. But I'm off of him this week, and I just wanted to make sure you were off of him as well, because I would include him in my DraftKings lineup if you thought this might be a venue where his talent maybe could be enough to get through the cut. But I don't see it going well.
Think about what you just said. Ricky almost made the cut.
Yeah. Yep.
At the Byron. Well, is that where the bar is? Because if the bar is almost making the cut at the Byron Nelson, then I want nothing to do with him at Kiawah. I don't know what's up with Ricky. I don't know where his game has gone. I've made a lot of money playing against him. I've made a lot of money fading him and missed cuts, and I'm probably going to play him again at a missed cut. I don't think I'm going to get his tremendous value because everyone has caught on to that. Until Ricky shows me something like Jordan Spieth turned around his game, Rory McIlroy turned his game back around, Ricky probably will come back and turn it around, and this is not the course where I'm going to pick him to do it. Maybe he can go out there and win or play well at some easier courses, maybe right here in my backyard at the Travelers. But I'm not picking Ricky at any stretch of the imagination at Kiawah, and I'd be surprised if he did make the cut.
Yeah, and real quick, what about a guy like Martin Keimer? Do you have a pulse on him at all? Because he's kind of that guy that you would think has no shot to make the cut, but he's a major winner.
He's a two-time major winner and a guy who contends often. It wouldn't surprise me to see a Martin Keimer as like a first-round leader type guy. I don't think he has the staying power or the game right now to win, but it would not surprise me to have him play solid, make the cut, and be a good score at probably, I haven't seen it, but probably a cheap price on DraftKings DFS. The guy knows how to win. You're comparing him to Ricky. Ricky has 0 major titles, and Keimer has 2, and he won 2 at some pretty tough tracks.
Yep.
So yeah, I mean, I haven't checked to see what Keimer's done recently, Haven't heard his name a bunch, but he's a guy that would not surprise me to see up there on Thursday or Friday and then go back to the pack on the weekends.
And before I let you go, David, I've been asked this question several times over the last 24 hours to ask you on the show. Will I can't remember his name. My God. The bomber from days past. He won the PGA when he traveled all night. John Daly. My goodness, what is wrong with me, David? Whoa. So the question is, John Daly, does he make the cut?
No.
That's what I said, but
I wouldn't. I didn't even know he was in the event until you mentioned it. Not because I studied the field.
He apparently is in the event.
Well, yeah, because he's won majors before, and no, he's not a guy. I mean, I don't even know what his odds are to make the cut, but I haven't heard John Daly's name mentioned in 3 years, if for anything golf related at least. So
he's 1,500 to 1.
There's a reason.
Right up there with Y.E. Yang and Jason. Well, even Jason Duffner is 500 to 1.
I would take Duffner before I took John
Yeah,
Daly.
yeah.
Not the question I thought I was going to get today.
Well, I was getting enough direct messages, even on the show yesterday at 4 o'clock, which has really just touched upon the fact that we were going to have a show today. I was getting questions, during NBA segments of, is John Daly going to make the cut?
Those guys that are asking you questions, you can give them my Venmo, and they can feel free to send me half what they were going to spend on John Daly. It's better to do that. Pay for my kid's college fund before you waste money on John Daly.
Yeah, absolutely. I guess it'll be good to see him out there, and hopefully everything will go pretty well. There's, I think, 21 restaurants there, so I guess he'll have plenty to do after the round.
I've hung out with John Daly a couple of times at a couple of majors after he's missed the cut. He hangs around and frequents some of the same establishments that some of us workers will go to late at night. So I've seen John Daly at a couple of pubs in England, and actually walked the course with him at the Honda Classic when I was a senior in high school. I actually was a standard bearer.
Oh, that's awesome.
So he was out of contention, and he made the cut, and I was walking with him on a Saturday, and it was good because there wasn't many. It was him and Tom Lehman. There weren't many people around, and I actually think there's a signed ball somewhere with John Daly's name on it up there.
That's awesome. That had to be a great experience.
It was. Because there wasn't anybody around, I let my mouth get a little loose one time. He hit a bomb into a Honda Classic, 40, 50-mile-an-hour winds that were so bad that they told us to put the signs down because the wind was so bad. He hit the ball into a stiff wind over water, and I too loud for what I was supposed to be doing. I said something about if I had hit that ball, it would have gone backwards. And then he heard me say it, and I thought I was going to get in trouble, but he put his arm around me as we walked up the fairway and said, "Kid, the way I've been playing, I wouldn't be surprised if my ball goes backwards." And, that was
Wow.
Daly being nice when I did something I shouldn't have done and spoke out loud, and he thought it was funny and offered me a cigarette, which I passed, and then we kept walking down the trail.
What a great experience, though. I mean, my goodness. You'll never forget that.
No. I was 16 years old, and I remember it to this day. So
That's awesome. Really good.
There's the John Daly ball right there in the end. So
it's awesome. So to recap the show, we have Xander Schauffele, Daniel Berger, Leishman, Webb Simpson, Jordan Spieth, Corey Connors. I believe you're playing them to win top 10s, top 20s.
The only ones I'm playing to win are Schauffele, Berger, Connors, and Keenan Bradley. I'm playing to win at 70 to 1. Guy's been playing well recently and also got a T3 at this course in 2012 after he won in Atlanta in 2011. Spieth, I'm only playing top 5, 10. Simpson, top 10, top 20. And Leishman, top 10, top 20 as well. So the other guys I'll play to win, and Leishman, Simpson, and Spieth, I'll play the props. I also really like a double chance win with Schauffele or Morikawa. You're getting 12 to 1 odds if either one of them wins. Trying to throw that prop out there. Both guys in the 20 to 35 to 1 range.
And lastly, I like betting what the low score is going to be, or how many guys are going to be under par. I think it's going to be 5. And, I'll change my mind if the weather is not going to be 30-mile-an-hour winds, but that's kind of Yeah, the first day I played, I remember the guys in the clubhouse, well, what'd you shoot? And this is when I was playing at a pretty high level. I shot 82. It was tickled pink. And the guy says, well, there wasn't any wind today. And I was like, it was blowing like crazy out there. Oh, no, it was only 15, 20 mile an hour. It's usually 30. And I'll never forget that. So, an 82 turns into a 92 just because of the wind.
Sure. I played Carnoustie once, and I swear to this day, all 18 holes played into the wind. I'm told that's not what happens, and it's 9 out and 9 in. I'm like, all 18 holes were in my face. There was not one drive where I felt comfortable on that tee box.
Yeah, and that's a cold breeze there. This at least is going to be a warm ocean breeze, but...
And it also rained a few times on me, so...
What we do for the love of golf.
That we do.
Well, David, I'll let you go, and I'm sure we'll be in touch as the event approaches, and we'll get tweets out there for any changes in the betting or additions, and I'm just looking forward to an awesome major event here at Kiawah Island. So for David Bearman, myself, the Predict Playbook, and Wager Talk and SportsMemo.com, may all the wins be yours.